Good day, my dear friends. It is always tremendously great to come and speak with you and share information and work things out a little bit, you know. This planet is a big deal. I know that some of you are very aware that we have visitors. A lot of sightings of UFOs and things, of course, you know, and for some it's a little freaky, but for those of you that are out-of-body travelers, you know quite well the universe is packed. You know, all frequencies, there's all kinds of frequencies and life living on different frequencies, and we haven't come to that yet in physics to look at the different frequencies and see life in different frequencies. I mean, there's so much out there in this universe, and just in this physical universe, which is such a low chemical universe, just in this alone is enough to go unbelievable, you know, for the mind sort of thing. But I've got a lot of things to talk about, and this is going to be a real short video because I want to discuss something that's going out there, of kind of a kickback of something we put out there on Velvet Antler. So I want to talk about that. I don't know if I talked to you about this study on chemo, this old study on chemo, you know, what they found on chemo. I can't remember if I did that on a video, but boy, for those of you that are contemplating chemotherapy, you really need to look at more studies and get away from these big lies of oncologists and take a look at what has been found years ago. So I want to go over that with you and a few things like that, maybe touch on a couple of letters tomorrow, because we've been working night and day getting this place ready. I'm going to take you on a little tour of my new office. The only reason we're not down there right now is having phones put in. So I'll take you a little tour on that and see what you think. I'm still building it. I've got some trim to do. I've got some cabinets to finish putting in yet, so I've got to do that the rest of this day. And the only reason I've been doing more videos is just trying to get settled around here. So it's just been that sort of thing out there. So I definitely want to give a big shout out to Kelly. Thanks, Kelly. She is at the Alternative Health. She's created an incredible practice herself. She's incredible. Kelly, thanks for the crystals and stuff. You're a sweetheart. I love you too, honey. Thank you so much. They were down visiting and stuff, so that was really nice and stuff. I love the fact that so many of you are creating your own businesses and taking off. That is what this is about, is to help you to help others. You know, help yourself and help others. That's the only reason I do this. It's the only reason, because this is, it's vital, in my opinion, that we help lift the consciousness a little bit. You know, I've talked a lot about the mind, and I think some of you might not understand, some do, but the mind is a separate instrument than who you are. Your awareness, your consciousness, that which gives you the you, that's not your mind. That's the only word that we've found some words to define that awareness. The awareness behind every eye you look at, the awareness behind a dog, the awareness behind a horse. Even though plants don't have eyes, they have awareness. What is this? And religions have given it the name of life force, the prana, spirit. There's so many names, and yet they designate that as separate from God, as the force of God creating things. But to be honest with you, when we look at the all in the all, there's nothing outside of that. We've discussed this a great deal. How when you look at a coin, like a penny, you've got two sides to it, right? These are head and tails, right? So we flip them in the heads and the tails. In reality, that's creation. One side's positive, one side's negative, but they're still the same coin. And that's what you have to understand, is it's still God. And as beautiful and as loving and as ecstasy as God is, it is also very violent, and it has its good, bad, and ugly sides. I mean, take a look at this planet. It is known in the galaxy, for those of you that are galaxy travelers, that this is a warring planet. And take a look at it. The human state is a warring state, all over religions and God, you know. And it's funny when you look at that, that way. So it's kind of important to understand from one viewpoint, again, that on one side of the coin you got the negative, the killing, and all this, but there's a reason for all of that. But it's still God experiencing itself. There's no other forces. All forces come within the Godhead. the negative and the positive. So you have to look at that a little more broader when you look at that, because the violence here is incredible. Let's talk about something real quick I want to go over, and that's the velvet antler. Because I know where you're coming from. Some of you have been very vocal about it. Some got quite nasty about it. And, I'm trying to create a oneness, because this is the most powerful healing level there is. And I am here to bring it out. And you have to understand, everyone is a different level of consciousness to understand and to see things and understand how things work. I spent over a year with a Native American on a radio show, and we dealt with a lot of Native Americans and people that were dealing with interplanetary travels and stuff. And one of the things that I've always loved Native Americans, because they have such a balance in their thinking and sense of spirituality. If you ever read the book To Touch the Earth, you'll come to realize that a lot of the Indian chiefs were mystics. Sitting Bull, a very mystic chief. So these guys were, way out there in their consciousness and stuff, and just beautiful in the way they interacted with the earth. The rituals are the things that you have to be careful about, getting too ritualistic, because this is just creation. And creation is here today and gone tomorrow. No reality exists here. This is the playground of God. This is how God matures itself, expands itself, and puts itself through all kinds of ups and downs. And it's kind of like the body. When you have pain in the body, at a certain point you'll leave the body, because you're not the body. The pain is the nervous system in the body. And it's interesting how the nervous system is so linked to consciousness, because we're right into the pain. Oh my God. But really, no. You, as a soul, don't feel pain. This is the nervous system within the human body. It's kind of like when something dies, you still see it flipping around. One of the most traumatic experiences, I think, for me was, I forget how old I was. Wasn't very old, 5 maybe, or less. And my grandmother's father was a veterinarian, but everyone was farmers around me. And so we were visiting my great-grandmother or something for some dinner or something, and she took a chicken and whacked its head right off with an axe, and for me it was like, it was the first time I saw anything like that. It was quite shocking, still remember that, But that's the nature of this level. You watch Alaskan programs and hunters and trappers, it's a sad thing, of course. But on the other hand, everything feeds off another here. Everything is used for something, and not being, well, I learned a velvet antler way back when I had a case. I had a head-on car crash case where she was female, and she had a complete head separation, or spinal cord separation. And so she had been down 12 years. She was a C3, C4. Christopher Reeves was, I believe, a C2, C3, and she's a C3, C4, which means there's no real movement at all. She had a little lever on her wheelchair, and she could move it with her tongue. And that would move her around a little bit. But she had so much spasticity, she'd be throw herself out of the chair all the time, so we called her Velcro Queen, because we had to Velcro her in to keep her from tossing herself out. So I learned about this from a video I saw where these were domesticated animals, and there was no violence to it whatsoever. And so it was really exciting to see that there was something out there that was a cellular proliferator. And we know ginseng, Panax particularly, a cellular proliferator. A lot of the Chinese herbs are cellular proliferators. Matter of fact, the gland tonic is full of cellular proliferators, meaning cellular enhancers, rebuilders, strengtheners. And so I was excited with this case. So I had her all on fruit, and then I had her on other supplements for the kidneys and the lymph. I wasn't so heavy into the lymph as I am now. I just didn't understand it as much, although I did understand it a little bit. Understood acidosis and fruits and all that sort of thing. And so this company made antler with, and this was from elk, I think, originally, with Panax ginseng. And I'm looking at that going, man, this has got to be incredible. So I used it quite heavily on this case. In 11 months, I had her totally reconnected. Before, I could have cut her toe off and she would have never known it. Then, when I was done, I could touch any place on her body and she could tell me. Matter of fact, I think we put her up there for you to see. If we didn't, we will. But it's on our spinal cord video. Now, we filmed her cold, but in reality, in a workout session, she could go hello, she could give you leg lifts, 10 leg lifts if you wanted them, whatever. So it was incredible. Talked to a lot of medical doctors around the country about this, and they said, oh my God, he said, get her on the floor, get her rolling and crawling, get it that mind-body relationship back. And so I learned a lot with that case. So I've been using that on cases where we're into nerve regeneration, extreme regeneration cases. And I put it in two formulas, I think. I put it in, of course, bone marrow formulas. And the reason I have it in a bone marrow formulas is because there's so many children right now with leukemias. Matter of fact, we've talked about this considerably, that the state and condition of the human cell genetically is at the lowest ever. Children now are being born not with just atypical cells, with cancer cells. And cancer cells, nothing but a damaged cell, mutated cell. When you look at that, that shows you how weak and low the human cell is. So what you're seeing is lines are ending genetically. Down lines are ending. There are no more procreations. The people are all dying off and stuff like that. That's the way that creation is, and I don't try to judge that sort of thing, but at the same time, you always tend duality. From a duality viewpoint, you always try to make things better, fix things. Because in the long run, it's an elevated consciousness that is the end result of that. Whatever the pain and suffering and all that was, the elevated state of awareness was all that God cared about. Because in reality, nothing dies, nothing's hurt, things like that. We get hurt, we have pain, things like that, no question. As soon as you take your attention off it, it's gone. These are neural responses. Kind of like, there's the difference between the consciousness and the living individual, the soul, and bodies. Bodies are just things you use. And we've been using different bodies for a long time. Matter of fact, if you're a meat eater, you can't complain about anything like that because you're eating the body of an animal, of course. So, this is just the way this level has come about. So we're infusing it, but you can't change or suddenly wave a magic wand and reverse the condition of these cells. You can't do any of that. So looking from a very creation viewpoint, we have to regenerate. And that's what you guys are doing, and doing such an incredible job. My heart is out there to all of you guys. It's the only way we can help everyone is as a team. And I want to work as a team. So if there's something you don't like that we're doing, you can voice that. But when you get nasty, it shows your narcissism. It shows that you're really not interested in anything but your purest viewpoints. And that's okay. Have them. But as healers, we look at weighing out different things. So when I looked at antler, I knew years ago that it's possible to have, and it always is, man always it's like ginseng. I didn't never want to be involved in something where I could, or there could be abuse out of it. And that's very difficult because in using botanicals, right now we're over wildcrafting some of the best botanicals. And the sad thing is we need organic herbal farmers everywhere. And especially as man learns more about herbs and the value of these herbs. So there's some great cellular proliferators in the herbs, no question about that. But when you link it like something with the antler. So the big thing is, I think what I'm going to do is I'll take the antler out of my couple of formulas because I understand where you're coming from and I don't want to be involved in abuses. I mean, I look at the ginseng scenario, and there was a show on TV about ginseng, and these are just mountain people, and they didn't care about the ginseng, they cared about the money it brought. And so they were over wildcrafting and everything else. And this is abuse, and this is the problem. It's just like we're hearing now this word called systemic problems. Nobody's addressing systemic problems. Well, it's the same thing in our society here in terms of spirituality as it is in health and raw foods. The only way you're going to address systemic problems is address man's spirituality, because the mind controls here. Well, the mind is out of control. And try this little experiment, and I'll show you what I did. I have a man cave, which is a RV. I live in an RV, fifth wheel. And so I had a paper towel holder sitting over one counter of the kitchen, and I wanted to move it over to another because it was easier for me to get the paper towels when I needed them. So I wanted to see how long it took me to also change my mind, because my mind was already habitually going over to that other counter picking up paper towels. So when I changed it, it was about 2 times or 3 before I reprogrammed my brain. Now, we've talked a lot about reprogramming and the use of music to reprogram or to break up these thought patterns, but the mind works in thought patterns, kind of like those old records that are coming back. Remember the old grooved records, phonographic records. And that's where music came in. If you look at how God used music to break up these thought forms. But when we talked a lot about it in the 60s, when the Beatles came out, it just broke up a lot of thought forms. Even Elvis Presley broke up a lot of thought forms, solidified thought forms. You see how slow things work here in creation. So slow to incite an awareness. Look in your own lives how long it takes to learn something sometimes. Sometimes you go, well, how come I did, these sort of things. So it just takes a while for the mind for you to get a hold of and control that mind. And we praise the mind above all things, and that's our downfall. We must infuse spirituality, which is what you guys are all doing. You're infusing love, you're infusing spirituality, you're infusing health and wellness and that sort of thing. Absolutely. So it's really exciting to see that and to help you guys participate. That's why I want to see us work as one, because like Kelly and so many people, and Mika, thank my God, Mika, this is a shaman friend of mine. Beautiful soul, nice shaman. He's it. This is Kelly's. This is a beautiful crystal, Mika. He's in Arkansas, and Arkansas is full of crystals. I thought about moving to Arkansas at one time because it's just there's a lot of herbs and crystals and everything else. It's one state just full of goodies. So it's interesting. But thanks, Mika. Thank you guys so much for your love and stuff. I'll show you a little tour here in a minute. But I have to make sure that my formulas will still work in terms of bone marrow regeneration and that, because right now we have thousands and tens of thousands of children with leukemias. And when it comes to a child with leukemia, or taking a part of an antler, which from a domesticated animal, who gets used to that, and I'm going to go for the children. But I'll tell you this, I will definitely, and I love the deer just as much. I love all life. I'm a total God man in that way, but I also have to understand that at a certain level, this stuff here is just play stuff. Play money, monopoly. Everything is. Everything is consciousness, and you can't kill it. Looks like you can kill bodies, but you really can't. Atoms are just rearranged. I always said we're in an atom rearrangement. We're playing with Legos here. And those Legos, of course, are atoms. So but I understand, and there's abuse everywhere, and people always abuse because there are some people that consider animals as nothing. Look at Rush Limbaugh one time did it. Just chicken have consciousness, he said, and this was a little segment he was doing. And for some reason, I was building a house and I was listening to him. And it was like one of the guys I hired had him on. And in the end result, he said, no, chickens don't have any consciousness. They're really just for man to eat. Now that is a low state of consciousness at that level to look at that sort of thing. But at one level, that's what's happening. You have to look and see what is. Like, who started the antler? Who thought of that? Where did it come from? The mind, the universal mind. You have to understand that what you see in front of you doesn't originate here. Everything that you see first originates in the mind. That's the first thing. But the mind doesn't have any awareness other than your consciousness. But it can take your awareness and it can adapt it to thoughts and the whole 9 yards of the mind. So it's real tricky, and you have to be careful because you can get trapped in that. You can get trapped in the purest thinking as much as you can in the other way too. You have to be real careful. Walk with balance, more balance. But we're working as a one. So be happy to do that. It's very costly for us to remove stuff because we have to do new labels and everything else. But I will attempt to do that. And see, my big thing is a healer. I'm helping this planet get itself turned around and also to infuse some spirituality, because without that, the mind is just going to click on the same patterns as a phonograph unless you change that, and it's up to you to change it. And it's hard because the mind dominates most people's awareness because they live from thought to thought to thought. And if you want to do that, it's okay, but you lose out on the all of the universe. And you lose out on levels of awareness that others have that you might not have. So it's just one of those things that if you really want to know more and experience more, then you have to become detached. So this whole thing that you see as creation in front of you is all God. Created by, set up by, and it's already created. When you see Velvet Antler, it wasn't us, it was God. And I'm just saying, you have to understand that. And understand where you are, what universe you're in, where you are, who you are, and all that to get a higher view of all these things. But, you know, the human state is the way it is. It's so violent. I mean, here we go. We're comparing removing some velvet antler to heads getting cut off and children being killed. You know, I mean, it's interesting to me, the way people see things here on this rock. But with that said, you know, I want us to work good as a team. So if it's that much of a problem for some of you, we'll take it out of a couple of formulas. But again, and there's a lot of great herbal cellular proliferators, but it's just finding some of them out there that we don't know about yet. Because we have a lot of work to do to get the human cell back into a state of vitality. And it's just reversing the way the human cell has decayed. And baby, you're looking at physics and chemistry. This is the things we've discussed here. So I'll work with that with you, and I'll talk to them back there, and we'll see about changing that for you guys and stuff, because I understand. I understand both sides of this coin. As a healer, I'm torn, because my job is to get souls, bodies better. How you get physical bodies better? Using animal parts. We eat animals. So it's just, I'm hoping, and I've said this before to the staff here, is that one day, with all of us working here, we'll get to the point where we don't have to use any animal products whatsoever. Very difficult as a healer and someone that's not a healer to understand the difference and the priority a true healer has to getting the condition changed. So it's just tough. You know, it's just tough in every way, guys. There's always something that one does that doesn't meet the acceptance of everybody. There's always something, but that's where you are in creation. But you must understand from a higher viewpoint that it isn't all us. We're all God. Each and every one of you are just a piece of God like I am and like this book is. It all comes out of the essence, the ethers of God. So all of this, if you want to blame anybody, blame the creative force. But you have to remember the creative force isn't all love, happiness, and joy. Both sides of the same coin. That's creation, though. That's not consciousness. That's creation. And creation is simply the playground of God to take itself, to expand itself, to train it, to individualize itself, and to train that individualized self to be an eternal dreamer of itself. It has a unique way of expanding itself, and it's unreal. For those that are out of mind, and those that get beyond the mind and into pure consciousness, you'll start to see how God's expanding itself and why this level exists. And at one hand, I can go, I'll be tired, I see that. On the other hand, I'm down here fighting. So it's just the game of it all. It really is. In the final analysis, this will be wiped out with like that. The whole plant. Done. What about that? So you just have to understand creation is nothing. It is pure experience to the Sugman or God. Doesn't matter, because there is no emotion beyond the astral world. When you're in the middle worlds, there's no emotion to this. These are emotional responses. And I understand those, though, totally, because I am an extreme animal lover. I'm an extreme plant lover. Whenever you pull a plant out of the ground, it goes screaming. You have to understand. You can hurt a plant as you can hurt an animal. So you have to understand this goes in every level. You can make these kind of accusations that, oh, you're hurting those plants by pulling them out. This was the argument for fruitarianism years ago, is that you don't have to kill a plant or hurt a tree or anything like that. You just pick what God gives you. And I love that sort of thinking, truthfully, you know. But you're consuming God. You're looking at God. You're consuming everything is in the body of God. So you just have to look at it from these ways. And I will take those out, and I hope that helps some of you here. Like I said, I don't know, this is a good study. This is a study of chemotherapy. And I don't know, forgive me if I put this on the other video, but for some of you that might be contemplating it, we're going to have a lot of this up on the web, but it's basically saying here, it's what CBS found. CBS, and I've talked about this before, looked at all the cancers, and they took prostate cancer, and they researched it, and they looked at cryogenics, removals, the seeds, and all this sort of thing. And they said, well, what would be the best move if you woke up with prostate cancer? Knowing, that you're creating this, it's an acid problem, it's a lymph problem. And they discovered the same thing that these scientists discovered. They discovered that if you do nothing, you'll live a lot longer. So why are we doing these things? This study, I don't remember when the study was done. This was an older study. This was done by Alan Nixon, PhD, is a past president of the American Chemical Society. That guy's a smart guy in chemistry. I mean, he might buy into theories others don't, but this guy sounds real smart. Alan Nixon. And is also a medical doctor here. Can't remember where he's from. Some of these have taken place at Harvard, others at other universities here. Here's 1980. An article titled Failure of Chemotherapy to Prolong Survival in a Group of Patients with Metastatic Breast Cancer was published in the British Medical Journal. And it goes on to talk about overall survival of patients with primary breast cancer has not improved in the past 10 years. And it hasn't. It's just gotten worse. And yet how much money is going to research? You can have billions of dollars spending on research, but if your ass is pointed in the wrong direction, you're wasting money and time. And that's what's going on. This is nothing but a money grab. Matter of fact, someone sent me an article of how much St. Jude and everyone else has collected. Millions and millions and millions on people's emotional states. And you guys are the few guys in the world that are here to turn this around, and it is a big deal. What we're doing here is a huge deal, guys. Huge deal. Don't undersell yourselves. And what they found is that if you do nothing, those that do nothing with their cancers live up to 12.5 years versus 3 years that use treatment. And get this is what I found interesting. These are some of the things that they found. And this study came back in February of 1979. Now, there was a study last year that showed chemo, of course, destroys cells. Well, we all know that. I mean, it destroys the human body. But so we destroy the human body to get it well. Is that not an oxymoron? So in this article, this is a Journal of the American Medical Association, and it talks about complete mastectomy was no better than a lumpectomy. The diagnosis of breast cancer was twice as frequent in 1975 than in 1935. It goes on and on. Well, that's understandable, about that sort of thing. His focus here is more that all the money spent for research, they haven't gotten any closer to finding how to cure cancer. And that's because they made the whole thing up. You damage your cells in your body. This is chemistry. If you don't understand chemistry, then have someone explain to you what's going on, what system's down in your body, and how you fix it. Cause and effect rules everything. There's nothing mysterious. Nothing is for happenstance. You don't know the unlucky soul. None of that. Everything is created. and uncreated. You're in that kind of universe. You're here today and gone tomorrow, as the deer, the elk, and all these plants are. So, yes, we learn respect, and yes, we learn love. Now, a lower mortality rate was found in patients who refused medical procedures. And get this one. This one, I love this one, because that's what they're pushing, early detection, all right? So what they found was early detection amount to quicker treatment and earlier death. Quicker death. So interesting stuff here. I hear you. A team from Israel led by Dr. Michael Feldman conducted a study at the Weizmann Institute in 1978. And it goes on and on how this is, how the lethalness of chemo. And it shows a picture. I don't know if again, I apologize if I showed this to you before, but look at this hand here. And it goes on about chemo spills and how bad they are. And when I was in doing a little jaunt in the ERs and nuclear medicines and stuff like that, I had to have IV therapy. So I had to go to the nursing school and take IV therapy. And when we got to the use of chemo, they showed you the gloves and suited up and all this. And the nurse practitioner, educator lady said, you cannot spill this on the skin. So I'm already, a chemist. I already know what's up. But these young people in nursing didn't know anything about it. And so I'm going like this, and she said yes, and I said, why not? She said, oh, you burn a hole in the skin. I said, oh, really? I said, what's your skin made of? She said, cells. I said, so you want to inject it into your vascular system. What's your vascular walls made of? Cells. They didn't like me very much there, but you know what? When you're doing a lethal therapy on people, and our laws haven't caught up with that yet, we have to catch up with that. Because that's out and out manslaughter. For you guys that have any false sense of hope in chemotherapy, you're smoking something in the back room, because there's a few that overcome it, no question, but you don't overcome it. You have not fixed the problem. You've acidified your body even more, and it's just waiting for time. This is why, as you go down the road, fewer and fewer, the percentages get low. I think 5 years in the oncology with the Burinsky movie and everything. I think it was even Cancer Centers of America. 5 years, everyone was around 6%, except Burinsky, which was 20%. You guys are going to be 90% at least. And I'm not curing cancers, because no one cures cancers, right? But to put people in remission, which is, what's that? 6%. Well, after 5 years, it starts going down to 2%. So when you talk to someone that's a survivor of cancer, you're talking someone that's way down there in the lower percentiles. Either had minimal bite back with the lymph system. I mean, you can see the minimalness, but most people are heavily involved, and they don't survive. Look at all these study groups, or all these chemotherapy groups for experimental chemotherapy. I never hear of anybody surviving those groups. Most all of the groups, everyone dies. And I told you, one lad and 432 people, we saved his butt. He's still alive today with a lymphoma. And the whole group is dead. All 431 other people are gone from that study. And I see that as a redundant thing there. Let me see what this is. Oh, this was something I was handed by Chris about herbs. Herbs are toxic or something. You always have these lower states of consciousness come around here, afraid of God, afraid of bacteria, afraid of everything. Don't be one of those. Don't have any fear, because you'll be consumed by the strong. The weak are always consumed by the strong. That's nature. I don't care if you're an animal, a plant. You see strong plants overcome weak plants. I mean, you see this everywhere you turn. So don't be weak. Be strong. Grab a hold of your awareness. Spend time alone. Lock yourself in your bedroom, or out in the woods somewhere. Get yourself a little man or woman cave. Shania Twain had her little woman cave down on the hill of her mansion in Switzerland. I really respected her then. I really realized, hey, you're one of us. Because you need that time alone to get a hold of yourself. and understand you're much more than the bodies and the emotions and the minds. These are all the bodies that causes conflicts and interact with other bodies. But it's how God plays. It's how God takes itself, that alone, and creates the illusion of many. But each one of you are alone within yourself, aren't you? You're all alone. If your wife or your husband or your kids all die or get stripped away from you, you stand alone. And when your time comes to die, you're alone. Because you're always alone, because you're God. Each and every one of you are a piece of God experiencing. It's experiencing itself. It's creating. It's expanding itself. Of course it would. In every way possible. We're just down in a little bitty, it's not even a nano level to all life. So it's just, it's just a little playground here. Now, herbs are toxic. Where the hell? I heard, the natural hygiene, one of the worst things about the natural hygienic people, because I've always admired them. I mean, these are the forerunners of raw foods. Shelton, Fry, Tilden, you can go back to Carrington, you've got your Arnold Ehretts. These are all precursors, and they've been all the way back to Jesus' time. You had the Essenes, which were raw foodists. You had the agnostics. So you had that raw food movement within probably every society out there. And it's just that, where it's getting to the point where now we have to, because the condition of the human cell is destroying most of the humans at one level or another. Then we're using treatment-based modalities to go ahead and kill us even faster. It's just the way God set this up. I have to say, this isn't our world, and yet it is totally our world. Look at that one. So herbs are toxic, and the natural hygienic people said herbs are toxic. Well, the bulk of herbs are definitely leaves and flowers. So that's vegetables, basically, except for flowers. And then, of course, people eat flowers all the time. We have a organic farmer down here, and she grows flowers to eat. But I've used, Schultz, Richard Schultz, kind of thought he was the strongest herbalist. He's considered 45 drops. It's pretty strong. We use 120 on an adult, and you can double that. So we've used herbs, and I've used herbs for, I'm 6 years, shy of 50 years in this field now. And I've used herbs all these years on tens of thousands of, probably 150,000 people. And we just see regeneration. This whole idea that herbs are toxic are people with something up their butt without Vaseline. These are the constipated people who can't get out of their own minds. If you think herbs are toxic, you're coming from a huge position of ignorance. That's all I can say. And you're making statements that are not true. That's the one thing I would appreciate if all of us make statements that are more truth-based. Because we are the God people here. And we want to show the world that. But it isn't like all you believe it is. God isn't all love and beauty and everything like that. Are you kidding? That's only one side of duality. Now, how about the power side? I mean, I'm just saying, God will destroy itself, wrap it up, and recreate. I mean, this is something so huge, so, I don't know how to explain it, but herbs, are you kidding me? They're the sucre. They're the reason. If you've been on herbs and go off of them, you pretty soon, oh man, I feel the difference. I want to go back on them. I have people tell me that all the time. And it's just that I have found them to be so incredible, it's not even funny. So for those that think herbs are toxic, you're on the wrong site. Go, I don't know what site you want to get on, but you better go do some contemplations and get your head screwed on properly. Because you're thinking wrong, you were taught wrong, and you're very, very wrong. These are all created by the Creator, and they're all great for us. They're not toxic herbs, no question. Look at the poke root. I remember that one lad did too much poke root. Blood root, pull a tumor right out of you. Take too much of it and put you under the ground. So it's just, yeah. But don't we have wisdom, and we're supposed to be awake and a little more aware of how to use the tools of nature without too much harm? But when we use an herb, we kill the plant. So what did we just do? We killed the plant. We didn't kill anything. We rearranged those atoms to fit us, just like anything else. We simply rearrange atoms because everything is atomically built. So, I mean, it's just, you know, a different way of looking at things. But the whole thing of thinking herbs are toxic, you're going to hurt yourself by being ignorant and staying away from that. But there's a lot of people that think that. There's medical doctors that think herbs are toxic. The #1 killer of humans on the planet, who cares what they think? I mean, I could care less. You need back here?
Is it an issue?
You need to back to this?
I just need to put my
okay.
in that wall.
All right, go ahead and do that. Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No big deal. I need my phone. Nah, I did a lot of that in the past myself. Tracers and things like that. So I hope that covers that sort of thing for you there. Again, this herb thing, don't ever buy into that. There are plenty of that. Have fun with herbs. I recommend everybody take herbal courses and enjoy the herbs. They're just so beautiful. Plants, they're just so beautiful, you know. I'll just read this. This one just was on the top here, and I thought it was pretty neat. Hi, I hope this message will reach you. Not sure for the email address. I would like to give Robert and all the staff news about what's going on in France. Oh, this is good. Following the fantastic teachings of Robert, oh, thanks, my friend. I have a YouTube channel since 2011. The last 2 years, there have been a huge interest in France about detoxification, the power of fruit, and now the channel has more than 34,000 subscribers and some video average of 350,000 views. Good, man. You know, I want you all to enjoy this because we're here to help the world. We can fight over things, but we don't want to fight over things. I'm flexible. I can grow myself. But, you know, some of us see things at a different level sometimes. And, you know, I'm going to try to always work it out with you. I give courses to more than 150 people several times a year. And last winter, we gave a talk in Paris with around 2,000 people. Yeah! Yeah! This is how you change a world, guys. This is how we change a whole world and lift it up. Even though it is creation and even though it's here today and gone tomorrow. The message is spreading like crazy, and most of what I teach comes from you. Oh, thanks, man. All I can say is bless you. We'll sing back to you, my friend, big time. This is www.youtube.com channel, UCBWKSUFMWBALYCOR. Whoa, that's a big one. Also, a friend of mine is doing a fantastic job with translation of Robert's videos, subtitled in French, and globally Robert's work is more and more known. Oh, good deal. Now, I did talk to my publisher about this, and I guess he's working with you or someone on this because he's hooking up with someone over there new, and they want to get this published. I don't know if it's you he's working with, so I told him about you guys, and he's supposed to get a hold of you, so I don't know. Because we've been translated in Romanian and Greek. We have all kinds of levels, but I don't know what happened with the French. Last thing, we have fully translated the Detox Miracle source book with professionals. A friend of mine, Eric, is now dealing with the publisher. There you go, there you go, there you go, to see how we can publish in paper version. Oh, good deal, good deal. A big thanks and love. Thank you, my friend. Thank you, thank you. French guy with funny accent following level 1 and level 2 2 years ago. I love you, man. First name is Thierry, and Casanovas. Thank you, love. Listen, thank you so much. You guys are, just realize who you're helping. Just look at all these beautiful souls that are stuck in these bodies. We know it's all karma. We know that we create these things. But again, this is a very unconscious world, and we create things unconsciously. And because we're all unconscious at one level or another, because you can't be fully conscious and maintain bodies. You'll fry the mind, burn up the human body easy. The human body burns real easy. You hadn't noticed, so you have to be careful with this thing. But you're just too powerful of a being. This is why everything's stepped down, so you can experience, so it can hide itself. Because who wants to go through these negative cycles and stuff? There are some who enjoy that. There are some souls that just love the negative things, the negative forces of you see that. And then you have the positive. You have the war between the two sides, the two factions. But it's simply God playing with itself. And you just simply have to realize that. It's just like you play with yourself. There's days you're positive, days you're negative. The mind and emotions and the human body is what gears this. So, good stuff, guys. Good stuff. You know, you all are just beautiful souls, and I'm so happy you're all waking up and helping others, because there's so much, we have so much problems. I don't know if some of you are not healers. Become healers. I mean, look at how much suffering is out there. It's unreal. It's so huge. And the children, we know it's all karmic. Absolutely. But be a master and be here to help people unwind their karma. Be strong. Don't let anything bring you down. Don't let negativity bring you down. The world is what it is. There's birth, life, and death on this planet for all creatures of all levels. It's just the way it is. You know, we raise cattle to eat. We bring these souls come in here to experience that. They already know they're going to be eaten. They already know that. Get past the physical little and get expanded out of body, and you'll see things that will awaken you even more. And wild stuff. So I want to keep everything harmonious on our side. So I'm willing to make some changes with the antler. But we need to make sure we have some good bone marrow formulas, because we have some serious leukemic problems, and we'll just use that word, meaning we have serious bone marrow and spleen problems amongst the babies. And we have serious work to do here on this planet to bring these souls, or these bodies, back so these souls can stay and maybe broaden the experience here. You know, there's other planets that can take on negative experiences. But you fuse a planet too much negatively, you can affect the rock big time. And of course, this is why everybody's picking up crystals right now, so we can infuse the crystals with spirituality, which then will infuse the earth with them. There's so much out there, so much fun. But I love each and every one of you. Now I'm going to take you on a little tour of my new office, and let's just see what we can find, okay? I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow and start going over these your cases for you and help you. I just apologize so much that I can't do more, but I'm fixing it so I can, and we'll fix it all up. Love you guys. Let's take a little tour. And let's take a little tour. See, I'm back by the bathroom. So I'm going to take you down this is my old hall and room. This is where Jensen and I were in Portugal. I love the Portuguese people. I love them. This is our little, as you come in, this is our little pharmacy here now. We don't have much of one anymore. So I'm going to take you outside here. Yeah, we have to walk outside to get down to my new office here. We're having some, we're rearranging inside so we can do better at getting our herbs out to you. Right now, it's we'd like to be a little faster in helping you. So you can see that we're getting new carpet in here. This is going to be all, as our rec room, and then we also have all those that hook on the computer and get your mailings out. You doing all right?
All done.
All done? Yep. Good.
You're set.
Oh, I am?
Yes, you are.
Fantastic. Thank you, my friend.
No problem.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Yeah. Good. I got a phone system in here now. This is my new office. Let's see if I can pull back here a little bit. I don't know how to function this. Got a window. Moving these bookshelves is absolutely no fun. This is, I just got this wall done. Now, you might see some things here that look familiar. This is an old company that I had. These are old formulas that I've had. This is your beautiful gifts of crystals, Mika and all of you guys, beautiful stuff. The Pocahontas stone, incredible. I've got furniture being delivered, and all these other things will go up on the wall. And just different gifts from all you guys. I thank you so much. And then I have more bookcases, more books stuck in. I'm putting this together. This is my countertop here. I can have my microscope and work here a little bit, so this is good. This whole room here is going to be our new recording area. This painting was painted by a famous Greek artist. Her grandfather was Dr. Papalopoulos or whatever, the one that invented the pap smear. She's an intuitive artist, and that's about the 10th coating on that, and her husband finally had to pull her away. And she picked up my relationship with Dr. Jensen. It was amazing. Intuitiveness. Orange Grove.